and it all comes down to the way the trucks are designed. So starting off the downhill trucks, right here we've got a layout including Randall 42 degrees, a Bear 40 degrees, Bear Grizzly that is, a Franken Randall, aka a 180 hanger on a 35 degree plate, and then a Krail DH truck, which is a 45 degree plate with a 180 hanger. So the differences of these trucks are primarily going to be the angle of the pivot cup to ground level. So this one is a 35 degree plate, and if you were to look at this, you can see that the pivot cup right here is going to be 35 degrees to being horizontal. The role that plays is that for the same amount of lean you're going to have with your board, it's going to have less turn from the hanger. So 35 degrees is going to be the lowest we've got in the market, and then the highest is going to be 50 degrees, which is more commonly used for carving. So this is a 35 degree plate on a Randall, so this is going to be used for stability. Super stable truck with the least amount of turn for the amount of push you put on the rail of your board. The 40 degree Bear, which is similar, is actually going to have different geometry. A very important part of trucks is the flippability of the hanger. So if you look at a hanger, you've got two sides of it, this side and this side. The default is going to be with the indented side pointing up, and that is unflipped. On a Bear, that flipping geometry changes it by 5 degrees, and so this here is actually a 52 degree plate. And when it's unflipped, it's actually going to be 5 degrees different at 57 degrees. Flipped, it subtracts 5 degrees and makes it 47 degrees. The lower degree makes it more stable for bombing, and so ideally you're going to want it lower if you're hitting a big hill. The next truck we're going to look at is the Krail. It's renowned for its stability and its bushing seat. It's got a really snug bushing seat, so those bushings there don't have much slop at all, and it gets a lot of rebound out of them. Likewise, when combined with the Jim Z, it becomes, well, pretty much unturnable, but extremely stable. It's the nice perk of a Krail is that it's a gravity cast truck, which brings up the price about $20. But what that means is that the aluminum for the casting is going to be bubble free, more precise, and doesn't have less flaws than a standard truck. The next truck's going to be a Randall 42. The thing about Randalls is it also has a flipping geometry, kind of like a Grizzly, but it's going to change it by 3 degrees. So this is a 42 degree plate, and the hanger geometry changes it by 3. Unflipped, it's going to be 45 degrees. Flipped, it's going to be 39 degrees. So it's going to be very low when it's flipped and very stable. Another perk of the 42 degree plate is its low profile. When combined with any other truck, say here, let's grab a standard Randall, 50 degree plate. It's a lot lower, which brings it lower to the ground and to be more stable. Even compared to a 35, the distance from the pivot cup to the ground is going to be much lower, and it's still substantially lower. 42, in my opinion, is one of the best trucks out there. So those are Randalls. They kind of, in my opinion, also set the standard for longboard trucks. That pretty much covers the downhill trucks. Moving on to carving trucks. And now we're going to move on to precision trucks. So the primary difference between precision trucks and cast trucks is the way they're manufactured. Precision truck is one of these. This is the Bear Smoky. Usually run $275 or more. And this is the Bear Grizzly, which we just went over, and they are cast trucks, which usually run $40 or more. So what gives it that $250 some odd difference is the way it's manufactured. The precision truck is manufactured by taking a solid block of aluminum and running a CNC machine to cut it out to make it the exact specs. The reason the precision truck is so much more than a cast truck is that it is cut out of a solid block of aluminum compared to taking molten aluminum and putting it into a mold. A cast truck is going to have more slop. They're going to use the same mold over and over and over again and use a much cheaper aluminum to bring down the costs. Precision trucks, in my opinion, are really for those who have been in the field and are looking for a little more tweak to the way that their truck performs. In the case of a Smoky and several other precision trucks, a primary difference is also going to be the pivot cups and the hanger sphericals. So in a regular cast truck, you can see without bushings, it has a rubber pivot cup in there and just a normal seat for the bushings. In a precision truck, The area in the pivot is actually replaced with a bearing. This bearing makes it more smooth, makes it more, gives you a little more traction, and just makes it a generally more precise ride and very predictable. In addition to that, the hanger also has a bearing, as you can see there, which allows for with similar results. The Precision truck, in the case of the Smoky, has a 40-degree base plate. And it's really solid and is made out of very high-quality aluminum. In this case also, the axles are going to be 10 millimeters, which is good for running larger wheels. It's going to be a stronger axle, so it's going to have less chances of bending. And in this case also includes a slight recession in the axle, which will allow less surface contact with the bearing. Another important part of a Precision truck is that the way that the axles are manufactured. A Precision truck will have exactly the measurement specified. This is exactly 10 millimeters, and one of an 8 millimeter standard will be exactly 8 millimeters. In a cast truck, they're a little more sloppy with how they're manufactured, and oftentimes the axle widths will undershoot the diameter of what it says. So an example would be a Randall is not a true 8 millimeter. It usually floats, 0.05 millimeters away from that. And so it'll put a little more slop on the bearing when it's on there, and it will not be quite as quick and put a little more torque on the axles. And that is Precision Trucks.